Hey, great day to you. Today we're doing a review of Seller Vue, which is an interesting software for Amazon sellers. And our guest, the founder Mark, he built it based on his experience of selling Amazon businesses and building Amazon businesses, eventually selling them. And he experienced some kind of pains in the process of selling. And based on that, he created a software that helps you not experience those pains in a way. And also, if you're just a seller who's selling, it will help you with your shipment optimization and a bunch of other things to kind of streamline your process as a seller to make it easier for you. And kind of, as Mark mentioned, kind of get out of the spreadsheet hell, which can be truly hell as a seller myself. I use spreadsheets to kind of to get track of my shipments. So I do it in Asana, which we're gonna see how Mark's kind of software works. But honestly, for me, it sometimes creates chaos because sometimes I forget to update them, and I'm just being honest here, and sometimes kind of moving them around, like what's in movement, where is the shipment, can create a little bit of disorganization. I'm trying to handle it, and we're working. But yeah, so today what we're gonna see, SellerVue can kind of be useful in helping with that. And yeah, in the description we're gonna have the link. Maybe we'll share some offer for the tool. So yeah, and today with us, Mark, as mentioned, he's the founder. Mark, could you man introduce yourself, and then we're gonna show how the tool works and how it can be useful for you, the viewer.
Hi, I'm Mark, founder of Seller Vue, and I'm happy to show you what we built. And it's funny that you said Asana because before I decided to build this thing, I was using Monday. I don't know if you're familiar with Monday.com.
Mhm.
And I was doing the exact thing that you had just mentioned. And it is pretty time consuming. And I think we built something that can solve all that.
Pretty cool, man. Yeah, I mean, let's see then how it works.
Okay, awesome. So this is kind of the main catalog page. This is where most of the information will be shown. So I mean, our goal here is to understand what it takes from your supplier to your warehouse. So whether that warehouse is FBA or maybe it's a 3PL or it can even be your mum's basement, right? You want to know that what goods you've received and at what cost it took to get that product. So this is the kind of view that you'll be able to see. So we have factory costs, inbound costs, and then your total landed cost. And then we got lead time and then your total stock value. So you'll be able to see kind of the cost of units that you have on hand. So let's just kind of, at first, just kind of let's just take a bird's eye view of a product, and then we can kind of see how we got to that information. So let's take, for example, this product here, silicone cups. So here you'll have a kind of an overview of a product, and one of the ways that we differentiate ourselves from a lot of other people and spreadsheets as well is that we calculate the cost, especially when it comes to shipping, around the cubic meters of the cases inside the container. So oftentimes what we've found is when you're calculating costs, especially around shipping and also customs and duty, is that a lot of it is calculated as an average. And what I mean by average is, say you have a container that costs $5,000 and say you have 5,000 units in that container. What happens most times is sellers will just go, oh, you know what? That cost is, a dollar a unit, right? So 5,000 divided by 5,000, $1 a unit. But sometimes what happens is maybe inside that container is units that are sit inside maybe a shoebox, maybe 1,000 units, and say those units aren't a dollar to ship. They might be 1 cent to ship. And that's what we really want to track is the end result of what cost you received. And that's what you'll be able to do here. So here we can kind of see our cost history. So every time a cost changes, it gets sent here. So whether you might order 5,000 units and say you need to ship 500 quickly by air, you'll be able to kind of track that cost as well. And then you'll be able to track what received units you received here. So you can see here I've ordered 2,000 units, but I only received 1,800. So I'll be able to query where that extra 200 is. And then finally, inventory balance. So this is really kind of where and how we calculate kind of like the stock that you have on hand. So you can see here I have maybe 11,000 units on hand at a stock value of this, and then I have received inventory on hand with a stock value of just over 80,000. Now, this is a demo account, but it's just kind of like an example of how we do things. So when we're calculating costs, yeah, I can see that this 58,000 unit balance is made up of, all these different shipments and at different times that they were received. Obviously, most sellers won't have this variable amount of units sitting inside here.
Received mark, so they got you like it means supplier finished production or received on Amazon, or it says inventory on hand means probably supplier finished the production.
Yeah, yeah. So this is in production. Say I have now ordered 11,000 units from a supplier, and those are in production. They haven't shipped yet.
Yeah.
Now, then in transit would be, okay, my supplier says to me, hey, Mark, these units are ready to ship. Now they're going a boat. Then from here, it will get moved down to in transit.
Hmm.
Because there's things that we want to understand, right? We want to understand our total lead time because when we kind of, as you start selling more, right, you're having a lot more capital tied up in your stock value. And what happens with the lead time, right, is we want to know probably within a small window is what it actually takes to receive those products. Because say, for example, if I just estimated, say this was like, oh, this takes 40 days to reorder products, and I wasn't kind of, granular on my lead time, I would start ordering a lot more units that I might need. And then all of a sudden, I got a lot of cash tied up in my stock value.
Yeah, been there, done that. Yeah.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I understand. Okay, I understand, man.
Yeah.
And where can we then? This is like the dashboard where we're seeing the like the kind of the values that we already input, but to input them, we have to kind of go through
Yeah.
inputting each shipment, right? Kind of
Well,
thing.
yeah, so that's kind of like the bird's eye view on like a
Hmm.
finished kind of product, and you've now kind of entered all your information, and you can see your unit costs. So the
Hmm.
way that we get this information is through our purchase order and invoice program here. So,
Hmm.
say for example here, I um, want to create a new purchase order, right? So
Hmm.
all I got to do here is gonna come to create a new purchase order. And I'm going to say it's the supplier. I'm going to ship it to here. It's going to go by sea. I can hit save and continue. And I'm going to add, let's do silicone cups. I'm going to order, 2,000 units at, $1.25. And everything's updatable. This is just to send off to your supplier to say that, hey, I need 2,000 units, right? So I can hit save and continue. And I can now go continue, and now it creates the kind of the PDF to send to my supplier. And I would select my supplier information here. I can, edit a message. I could do whatever I want here. If I need to attach any labels or anything like that, I can do that here. And I can send and close it off. Right. So now this has created a purchase order. Um, so what would happen from there is I could, update. I would receive the invoice from the supplier, and just to kind of speed this along, I would say, so for example, we got this invoice from the supplier, and that would sit here, and then I would update that invoice, and then from there, what happens? It automatically creates an order form, right? So from here, what I can do is I automatically creates an order, and it's just sitting in production. So once it's in production, it's just sitting there. And say, for example, I really need to ship, 500 units quickly. So what I can do here is I can come to my pack list and I can split the shipment here. So I can say 200 goes one way and 1,800 go the other way, right? So I can track my shipments from that way. So that's sitting in my shipment plans. So I got all different types of shipment plans, which I can edit and change. And once the shipment plan is ready to go, and my supplier said, okay, these products need to go, what I can do is I can now send this off to my freight forwarder for a quote. So I would enter my freight forwarder's information. Um, just send it to myself. And it will send the pack list and also send kind of all the shipping details, like how many cubic meters,
Okay.
whatever else is inside the email. You can edit, change it, and send this message off. So off it goes. And so now this product is, in transit. Um, and I can just hit update. And from here, I can just wait. And once this product has maybe hit port or my freight forwarder has sent me the shipping bill, what ends up happening is I can go ahead and grab the shipping invoice from our supplier. And let's see if we can pick a bill here. So say for this one, we've got a shipping bill. What it would do is automatically calculate the customs and duty rates. And so here we got the
Mhm.
custom charges, and here we got the shipping bills. So it automatically calculates all that information based off its tariff rate. So just kind of like when I came back here to this product, all the kind of carton sizes and dimensions are in here, and all the kind of tariff rates are in here as well. So it automatically calculates the cost of shipping, automatically calculates the tariff rates for you, and then kind of sits inside this received order. So every time, the shipments have received, it gets pushed onto here. So it kind of creates kind of like a lot more effortless way of kind of how you obviously manage a spreadsheet or Asana or Monday. Everything's inside here and neatly organized. So that's that. And then just a couple other things that you can do. There are transactions. So kind of keeping track of your transactions as well. So say, for example, you had some payables to pay. Say this one I need to pay. There's a lot of cool features that we're coming up with. Like ideally, we want to be able to pay everything from in the account. So we're still working on that. But what you would do is you'll go into your bank, issue the wire reference, and then you would receive the wire reference from your bank, and say you want to issue a confirmation to your supplier that you paid this. You can just go in here and select the email, and it automatically sends off an email to your supplier with the invoice number, how much was paid, the reference number, so that your supplier can get cracking on production.
So we start, Mark, by creating, let's say I want to ship 1,000 units, like well, I'm asking about the shipping part now. So of course, first we'll log in the start of the production. So let's kind of do like maybe a step-by-step kind of workflow, which we kind of did with what you mentioned, but maybe kind of in a quick kind of overview. Let's say now we have to add 1,000 silicone spatulas, right? That was the product. Yeah, of course, each seller to their own
Yeah.
products. So could you like walk us from the kind of first step? Now a seller is sitting there like, boom, sales are going. I need 1,000 more silicone spatulas. Like, where would they go? What would they click? Maybe something like this would be
Yeah. So
useful. Hmm.
yeah. So like the invoice I just created. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
we sent the purchase order for those products, right?
Mhm.
So from here, what would happen is I've now received the order. So let's just kind of back up the workflow, right? So
Yeah.
I need products. So I need to notify my supplier that I need 2,000 units of this product, and
Hmm.
he goes, okay, great. Here's the invoice, right?
Hmm.
So now that we've got the invoice here, I'm going to say this is going to be with this purchase order. So I'm going to insert this and hit continue. And now I've got my invoice sitting here. And below here, I got my line items. So remember, I ordered 2,000 units,
Hmm.
and we got payment schedules here. So this is good to go. So I can update this invoice. So I've now saved this invoice. And now what happens is it automatically creates an order on this order table, right?
Hmm.
So I've got my order table here. I've got 2,000 units, unit price of $1.40. There are 40 units per case, and there's 50 cases. Okay. So now this product is in production. Okay, so let's just fast forward 3 weeks. Okay, and the supplier said, "Hey, Mark, in a week's time, this product's going to be ready. How do you want to ship this?" So what we will do here, let's go back. Yeah. So, say for example, I need to ship 200 quickly by air, right? So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say I'm going to ship 200 and I'm going to hit update. Now you can see this little warning sign that happens here that, it's not quite matching up. So, what I need to do is I need to add the other 1800, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Kind of what I do in I'll tell the guys what I do alternatively in Asana. And this is interesting because this specific part had many times confused me because what I do, I take a card, let's say 2,000
Uh-huh.
units, so I need to split my shipment. So I do 200. I copy the same card because the card contains the information previously added to that card, so I don't mismatch. I copy the card. I change
Uh-huh.
the number on the Asana main card to 1,800, and then I have the other under 200, and then I move it to I have little tabs and move it to shipped or something like that, and then I have to update some. It's not in front of me, but I'm kind of pulling from my memory. Yeah, and why it can create problems because again, maybe I sometimes forget one of the parts of, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, but
yeah.
it's funny. What's funny about what you're saying is that is the exact same thing that I was trying to do with Monday.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, funny.
can definitely cause. I mean, I'm kind of doing that, so it can cause some. Yeah, you can just. What can I say? Like, can be disorganization. There, disorganization in business. For both
Yeah,
our
and
listeners,
also
yourself, it's not
yeah, and
that.
also like a lot of time. Like you're spending a lot of time trying to do it, when you could be doing other things. And that's the other thing. Like this
Yeah,
stuff should be just quick and easy. It shouldn't it shouldn't require like time intensive work.
100%.
Which is exactly why I built it because I mean, at one point I don't know how I was doing this with like 180 SKUs, and I was just like I didn't even know where
It's
to
quite a
start.
lot. Quite a lot, man. Quite a lot.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so from here, what happens
Yeah.
is, I want to ship this quickly, so I can go and just kind of move it into a new shipment plan. So
Okay.
it automatically kind of
Mm.
creates that new shipment plan, which is this one. And then I can move this into its own shipment plan. Or I can add it to an existing shipment plan. Because say I want to ship something quickly by air, it's going to be in its own shipment plan. But say I have a container that I want to fill with the other 1,800 units, I can put that into anything as well. I'm just going to add it into a new shipment plan.
And of
And
course,
then,
these kind of sizes, because like the product itself, the spatula, we also first have to add it to the system, right? Before we like once we have it, we'll then able to create the purchase order. But before it, we'll just have to add the name, the size of the boxes, and all that, which we get from our supplier. Correct?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
I'll
Okay.
just pop over here to
Yeah.
the catalog page. So here we have like a bulk upload. So on the bulk
Mhm.
upload, like you can add all your information about your SKUs, and you don't have to. I mean, it's quite an in-depth CSV, and I always tell our users like just start small, like put the name, the SKU, and whatever information that you have quickly, and then the next time you get a purchase order with the number of SKUs you have, then you just kind of start adding, these like little details about HS codes and boxes and items
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll kind of get into what we have on offer as well. But we can certainly help sellers kind of get this information because this is like the most time-consuming stuff. But once the information's in there,
Yeah.
then it's super easy.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So we're now going
So
back to the shipment we created. We gonna split the
yeah,
shipment with the, 200 units, 1,800, and kind of we're continuing from
yeah.
there.
Um, so yeah, we can see this is the 1,800 units. So
Hmm.
here we can just kind of rename this, yeah, demo one.
Hmm.
Uh, so this is going to be ready in now. I can put
Hmm.
today's date, and it's going to be ready. Yeah, miracles happen in 2 weeks. It says coming from business address. It says coming from China. It's going to business address, going to the US, maybe a fulfillment center, something like that. And we can hit update. Um, and we can also send that off, right? So we can also, again, kind of coming full circle, we can send this off to our freight forwarder, right?
Mhm.
So
And it will go to them. Which email will they receive it from? Like, let's say, Mark at SellerVue.com or Vova at SellerVue.com, or you know what I mean? Like,
it would come from our domain.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
That's one thing. That's one thing on our to-do list is custom domains and that kind of stuff. But
Sorry.
just that's one thing on our roadmap is to add kind of custom domains for users to use. But for now, I think it just comes from us.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
Just
it's an editable message, so
okay.
you can change it. You can also change the subject line and all that.
Okay.
Um, this is step two. It's just and I don't know it's that, and we can update. Yeah, so now you got your shipment plans ready to go, and those are sent off, and you've all kind of organized your plans here as well. And then there's a lot of other information if you wanted to put inside here that you can add on this page as well. So now you have your shipment plan good to go. The items are shipped. You can view it in cards. You can view it any kind of way like that. There's archived shipments that sit there, and you can kind of see total quantities and cases and cubic meters and all that sitting up the top here. So some information sitting up here. And now what happens is, this boat is at sea. And it's, in transit. So I guess fast forward maybe a couple of weeks and you receive an invoice from your supplier saying that this shipment is getting ready to received, and you either need to pay the customs and duties or you need to pay your freight forwarder, right? So what you can do here is go ahead and grab your shipment or your shipment bill from them, and you can say it's a shipment, it's the shipment. And let's just say we're going to do this 200 units, which is the air freight. So you can insert that. I can either say shipping, or I can do customs only bill, or I can do a shippings and customs bill. So just say, for example, it's 600 to ship, and 200 customs. It's just going to automatically, although there's only one in there, it's going to calculate and add those costs to the bill. And then all I got to do is hit update this invoice. I can hit close. I can come back to my orders, come back to my shipment plan, and we're kind of creating up some more automations on this. But all you got to do is hit received, hit update, and that's been received. So now we can kind of come back to our order deck here. Let's see. We can come to our received orders, and we can see that out of the 2,000 units, I've received 200. And my inbound cost was $4. My factory cost was $1.25, and my total landed cost for this product was $5.25. So if I had a look at my cost history, I could see, that my previous bill for shipping was 49 cents, but because I had a fly in, it was
Mhm.
$4. So it kind of tracks it at that granular level. And then you can kind of repeat the same process with the next shipment. So, you just do the same thing with this $1,800 shipment. Or, say for example, if you needed to add more products into a shipment, you could just, if you had a different container and say these weren't in shipping, you could add all of these items to a shipment plan. So you'd be able to pack a lot of products into one shipment plan. And that's really it. I mean, it's just super simple, easy tool to use to manage your shipments, your costs, and where in the world your products are.
And Mark, to open a shipment, we need to go to Amazon or is it integrated? So let's say we need to ship the 200 units and let's say to USA, right? So usually, on Amazon, we go create a, shipping kind of a plan. Then we get the labels and then, we can then send them to our freight forwarder or something like that. So is it something that happens within the platform or we have to what's on this part specifically when we need to ship, like we need to Amazon, say, FBA, say, so we get the stickers, I guess, in a form of
Yeah.
PDF. So then how does it work in this?
Yeah, so so we're working on that integration
Hmm. Hmm.
with
Nice.
Amazon so that there'll be a lot more automations. But
Hmm.
like kind of like think about when you're using Asana, it's kind of an automated view of like Asana. What we wanted to do before using Amazon was what we wanted to do was reverse engineer the cost. Because at the end of the day, what we wanted to know was the cost. Um, and the only way to get the cost accurate was to figure out how to do these split shipments. Because when you go into Amazon to make your shipment plan, all you doing is telling Amazon that 200 units are coming. You're not telling Amazon that it's an order of 2,000
Yeah,
units.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? You're only telling Amazon there's 200 units. So the issue with own is was going directly into Amazon is how do you tell Amazon um, that there are another 1800s which are part of that order. And that's like, I
Mm.
mean, I guess like how using Asana is that it becomes super messy, right? Because like I've ordered 2,000 units, but then all of a sudden I got like a line of 1,800 and I got a line of 200. And then as you start ordering different products and different SKUs and maybe another order on top of that, you're like, ooh, what was that 200 order associated with? And that's where, you know, it becomes quite messy and kind of uncontainable. So what we wanted to do with this version of the app was kind of reverse engineer it so that we had all the ducks in a row first, and then we would go integrated with Amazon. So our next plan, and for those that kind of get on board now, obviously be all grandfathered in. But our goal with Amazon would be able to say pick a shipment plan. Say we could pick this shipment plan, and we could automatically push this information into Amazon, and it would tell Amazon to create the labels and all that kind of stuff for us. So this would kind
Yeah.
of be your nucleus. This would be your nucleus of the driver's seat, so to speak. And that would be able to then create all that information inside Amazon for you. But what we didn't want to happen is kind of the other way around, where you do it when you do it, and Amazon pushes the information here because just like Amazon does, you get half the information you need.
Mhm. So basically, we need to then again go to Amazon. We say create a shipment plan, 4 boxes, 50 units each, 200 units. I mean, or something along these lines. Um, then we get the labels, and then these labels we will input here inside Seller Vue, right? Into our into the some a section, right? Once we get
Yeah.
the labels.
Yeah. So once you got the labels, you could attach it here.
Hmm. Hmm. This is a
Um,
letter that we're saying sending to the freight forwarder, right? We're looking at now.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
this is to the freight forwarder, or if it depends on when you're creating the labels. I mean, oftentimes, like the labels are created and sent to the supplier. It just really depends on everyone
Yeah,
has
yeah.
probably a unique setup with their supplier and
100%.
freight forwarder.
100%.
But it depends on how people are shipping as well, right? Because people are either might be using Amazon Global Logistics, or they might be using a freight forwarder. And that's one thing I always say to my users and also with our private clients is that to get multiple quotes, right? Because oftentimes when we're shipping stuff, we just kind of get stuck in ourselves and we kind of just end up using the same forwarder that we've always used. But maybe we could get a better quote with just as good as a freight forwarder. It might be 500, $500 less. So
100%.
that's something that we can do here is that you can add multiple freight forwarders
Ah,
to your quote
interesting.
so that you're sending off your pack list and then you're going to get back. some other things. So we have some pretty cool roadmap features coming soon, probably in the next couple of months as well. With that, we'll be able to get automatic quotes. So once you've got your pack list here, you can request automatic quotes, and on the sidebar over here, you'll be able to see different freight forwarders and their rate options. So we've got some pretty cool things in the pipeline. But my goal, I guess, with building Seller Vue was accuracy, right? So I wanted to make sure everything was accurate. I wanted to make sure all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted, and that it gave you the view that you need in order to understand how profitable you are in your business, and all this whole shipping flow and purchase order flow. Kind of makes that kind of work, at 100% level, because you're tracking, cubic meters, you're tracking tariffs, and everything's kind of be calculated for you. So it's pretty exciting because this is kind of where we're going to start doing all the integrations and kind of all the automations. So, our users are on board now, obviously love the tool for what it is right now because it saves them hours on spreadsheets or, other, band-aid tools like Asana or Monday. But as we kind of get more into our development cycle with the integrations, it's going to be a lot more quicker and a lot more, helpful, even quicker than sellers are using it now.
Man. Yeah, hope all goes well for you. And wanted to ask you, man, like maybe you get some kind of frequently asked questions about SellerVue from sellers. Like, what do you? I've asked a few kind of on the way, kind of that popped up to me as a seller, but I'm sure I've missed something. And what else comes up that people are like maybe continuously asking, and maybe you could share, so then our listeners will kind of yeah,
Yeah.
help them.
So I guess the biggest one that we get is like, who should use Seller Vue, right? And I love this question because I just had a conversation with a company that was valued at 500 million. Um,
Okay.
and they they what do they sell? They sell clothing, and they have a full accounts department, accounting department that's tracking shipments and costs and all this kind of stuff. And I was able to, and this company had th thousands and thousands of SKUs. And I was able to figure out their costs from one purchase order, a shipment plan, a shipping bill, and a customs bill in less than 5 minutes. And they have an entire team managing this stuff. And you saw how easy it was to use. I mean, you click here, boom, you know your costs, you know where everything is. So they were kind of blown away. But then on the flip side, I had a seller that has one SKU, signed up. I had a conversation with him, and he obviously I think must have had probably was listening to a podcast. Maybe he was listening to you, maybe talking, figuring it out, and he wanted to start off on the right foot, and he's using it. So like we have a big kind of you know yeah, depending on the users that are using it, whether you're just starting out or you're mid-range or, I mean, $500 million company, at the end of the day, what you want to know is you want to know what it costs to receive your product. You want to understand what it costs now. You want to understand what it cost the shipment before and the shipment before that. You also want to have a paper trail of information that you can go,
Mm,
hey, I want to know, say, for example, this product what this invoice, so I can come to here and go, you know what, like something doesn't quite make sense in my costs. I can come over here and go, this is the one I have questions about, and I can click through and go, oh, okay, this was this invoice, this was this line item. Oh, you know what, that makes sense. And I can keep kind of going through and kind of piecing all together. But you can't do that with spreadsheets, right? Because it's just all over the place.
that's true.
So kind of answer your question, whether you're just starting out or you have an established business, this is just going to help kind of mitigate your time and kind of get you the answers that you need kind of quickly to make decisions.
Nice, man. And then on the technical part, when sellers, as you mentioned, sellers are either smaller sellers, beginners that are starting out and they want to do it right, which is always a good idea. And then maybe even a bigger business or a huge business like the half a billion company that came. They were a little bit, kind of disorganized in their own way. They were kind of selling a lot, but still they needed more organization and you could help them. That's pretty awesome. And then once people logged in and they're inside, maybe they're figuring out. Hopefully, this tutorial will be useful for them because, again, they might be after watching this, like, they'll know what to do, but still, maybe some technical questions come up too.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we kind of, again, my goal is to help sellers, right? So I've been there, been in the trenches, just like every other seller. So what we do is we have an onboarding process. So,
Mhm.
we will help sellers, get all the information that they need into the software to begin with. And once it's in there, we will kind of walk them through all the technical sides of things. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, it's really easy to use. And I always talk to my developers. I'm like, it's so easy to use. Sometimes I think like maybe is it too easy to use? I don't know.
Nice, man. That's good. That's good. Well, sellers love easy to use stuff, and anyone, I guess, not only sellers, just people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So
okay.
I mean, I guess the point of the app is like I would say I would call it like a working app, right? There's often there's other tools like your data analytics tool and whatever tool you're looking to see your orders and how profitable you are.
Yeah.
This is working on making sure that everything is in alignment because I also just think about like your profitability, right? The biggest area that you have room for improvement is your supply chain. So from your supplier to your warehouse. And this is the biggest gray area that I find most sellers have is that they don't quite know what it costs to get that product and what are the areas that you can improve. Can I get a better rate on my supplier? Can I get a better shipping quote? Are my import tariffs correct? Can I get, maybe there's a quick change I can make on my HS code, or is that HS code that my freight forwarder put in, is that correct? So that's the things that we can help with as well to just make sure that one, the system is set up right, and two, are you as profitable as possible?
Okay, man, thanks for answering. And also, at some point, we have seen that we can send to a 3PL warehouse, which is like a warehouse outside of Amazon. Do we have similar communication with them inside the platform too? Like similar to how we could send an email to the freight forwarder from within the platform and say we're now sending, these 200 units are actually going to that warehouse. So maybe priorly to
Yeah.
sending, we need to ask them, is there space for us or something like that? So.
Yeah, so I mean, you'll just kind of come back to your shipment plan, come back over here, and you're ready to send whatever you want to send it over to them. Say, I'm sending over whatever I'm sending over 200 units.
Mhm.
So it customize this message as well.
Ah, uh-huh.
You know, you can
I
obviously
see.
edit the subject line. You can do whatever, and that automatically attaches like a CSV for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, pretty awesome, man. So also I'll tell our sellers, like listeners, viewers, if any more questions come up, please ask them in the comments. We'll try to answer. Like once comments come, maybe we missed something. That'll be nice. Mark, one more question. Is there something I should have asked you before we kind of jump into the pricing? Maybe those who are watching now, they'll be curious how much it is and what it costs them to kind of try and use that. But maybe before that, was there any question I should have asked you that kind of I did not? You actually mentioned also interestingly why you've built it, so kind of that could have been a good question to ask, but you did say that. But then anything else that maybe I should have asked you and I still have not about the platform, about the way it works, maybe something along these lines. Do you feel like
I mean,
maybe?
I think we got most of it. But I'm sure other questions will pop up
All right.
regarding the platform. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I built this for myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah.
Amazon seller. Like I
Yeah.
said before, I've been selling since 2012. Um, days when it was super easy, and nowadays where it's become a real business. Back in the day, I say 12 years ago, margins were plentiful, right? You didn't have to worry about margins. But now, every dollar counts, and if you can keep it and you cannot give it away, I highly recommend keeping as much profit as possible.
Okay. And all right, man. So could we jump into the pricing page of SellerVue just to see exactly what we get and what are different plans, please?
Yeah. Yeah. So, in terms of the pricing page,
Or if if it's in kind of update or something, we can, just mention
yeah, we
here.
can mention it. So,
Yeah.
like what I've decided to do for just this kind of subset of like especially your audience is that I wanted to offer something pretty unique that would help sellers obviously keep more money that they as much as they could. So what we're going to do is a lifetime membership to the platform where it's going to be $4.97. So lifetime, they get you're going to get access to all future updates, everything in the future, and they won't have to pay anything more. Or I think they broke it down into three equal payments. So if you don't want to do the 497, you can do three payments of I think 197 for three equal payments, and then your platform's yours, and that also includes all the onboarding as well. So we will actually, my team will set everything up for you. So obviously we'll have some questions back and forth in terms of like what SKUs do you have, descriptions. Because sometimes, you probably know that the supplier invoice and what you call your product sometimes aren't the same product. So we just want to make sure what your supplier is calling things and
Yeah.
what you're calling things
Yeah.
and the SKU name, that all matches up. And so we'll kind of hold your hand, walk you through the entire platform for you. And usually, with that, we charge, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500, and we're going to include that in the 497 as well. So when sellers sign up, they pick whatever plan they want, and we'll kind of take care of the rest. Get their account set up for them, hold their hand through it, show them how to do the purchase order, invoices, and all that kind of stuff, and then they're off to the races. And if, of course, if they have any other questions, we've got full customer support team that will kind of help walk them through.
All right, man. That's truly a generous offer. Appreciate it. And so in the description, we're gonna have like maybe some sort of code or something for people to kind of once they kind of go and on board, they'll mention maybe my name, Vova Evan, or something along these lines. So people, your team knows that it came from kind of our conversation here. That'll be nice. And yeah, pretty awesome. You mentioned that kind of for this price, they're able to onboard and use it. And hopefully, if they do, that'll be nice if they spread the word as well, because that's a pretty generous offer. So that'll be nice.
Yep.
And also, then for those who are just maybe, there might be, I don't know, maybe a limited time offer, or I'm not sure. Hopefully, it will stay for some time, but then, things might change with time. But, and maybe for those who are like just maybe they want to try it monthly or something. Is there like a monthly pricing plan,
Yeah.
or is there some
Yeah,
other?
yeah. I mean, they can go on to, if they go into sellervue.com, you can see the pricing page at the top. They can scroll down.
Would you mind sharing
And
it just for people to see if that's okay?
oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
then they can see also what's included, right, in each plan. That will be helpful. Yeah.
You can head over to sellervue.com,
Hmm.
um, and you'll see the pricing page. So you can
Hmm.
roll down here,
Hmm. Mm.
and there's this kind of growth plan, and this is they can test it here. And this is a kind of another plan. So, like I said before at the beginning of the call, we do take private clients. So, say for example, that big, half a billion dollar company, they became private clients where we do all this for them. So, oftentimes, if sellers don't want to do this kind of stuff, we handle it for them. Um, so that then includes obviously they get access to the tool, they'll get access to some data analytic platform, an integrated profit and loss traffic conversion dashboard, some other inventory analytics tools as well. But that's kind of our scale plan, and that's something that for anyone who's interested in, we can book a call and we can chat about that. But generally, what ends up happening is sellers hop into the growth plan, or for your sellers that want to opt in for that lifetime plan, they can do that. And then, sometimes it makes sense to just be like, you know what, Mark, I want you to do all this work for me. And then we take off that work for them and we work with the accountants and bookkeepers and get everything squared away for them.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that those private clients, they might have different kind of quotes offered to them because the value and the amount of your work, it sounds like. So,
Yeah, I mean,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
So generally, I mean, it starts at like 199 a month. Um, you know, whether they're doing one or two orders a month, and then it kind of just goes from there. So
Hmm.
we have a full stack accounting cost accounting team with us. So we don't do actual bookkeeping. We do cost accounting. And then we work with sellers, bookkeepers, and accountants, so that instead of I don't know if whether you have to do this, but I'm sure the sellers that you're listening to that are listening, once a month or however many times as your bookkeeper says to you, hey, I really need your costs for these SKUs, and then you go through email ducking, where you don't really answer the email because you don't have the information for them. And then eventually your accountant gets hold of you and you'll be like, I really need these unit costs. So whether you do it by yourself, and you're using your platform here, all you got to do is you can give your accountant access to the platform, and your accountant can pop in and grab whatever information they need. So especially most accountants are just going to need the SKU, and whether you choose a weighted landed cost or you choose your
Uh-huh.
final landed
Interesting.
cost.
Interesting.
Yeah, like, so if you're keeping up with your shipments and you're keeping up with the invoices, you never need to talk to your bookkeeper again. They'll have all this information readily available. But oftentimes, as you get to maybe like $1 million seller or 100,000 a month, you might not want to do this, and you might not want to do this, right? So, and that's where this kind of scale plan comes in, because we'll kind of take off that for you and do it all for you.
100%, man. So we're gonna have the pricing page included down in the description. Again, maybe some kind of code or something to, if people join with the kind of lifetime offer that you have, or maybe if they just request a quote or something, they can mention they came from this video. It'd be pretty cool. Also, there's
Yeah,
yearly option. That means once per year we can pay. We're now seeing the monthly, and then there's the yearly. All right.
yeah,
So this gives us 20% off, I see. Instead of 2,400 or so, like 1990 for the scale, and the growth is again, instead of what would that be, 720, like 588 or so for the
yeah,
growth. And
yeah.
there's a community just to join, to kind of get on the email list, to see the value, to get like the access to the community, right? To then kind of get familiar, perhaps
Yeah.
with some
Yeah. So
trainings, and then,
we just started this community probably, I don't know, like maybe a month ago, just to kind of help sellers kind of understand not only the importance of tracking costs properly, but also like I explained, like when we chatted before, my major passion is building and selling businesses. Um, but when it comes to actually selling your business, that's the biggest payday that you're going to have in e-commerce. And the more data you have and the more accurate data that you have, the bigger your multiple is going to be. And if you have, a paper trail of information of exactly what your costs are, your associated invoices, your supplier information, and everything kind of, you know, readily and available to your buyer, your valuation is going to skyrocket, because you just look a lot more professional. You're a lot more trustworthy, because
yeah.
I can see that the stock value is 91,000 here, and I'm going to get a check for 91,869 versus, you know, maybe or if you're using a spreadsheet and you have an error, maybe you had it overestimated, in which case you're going to have a very angry buyer, because you overpaid on the inventory. Or you're going to do yourself a disservice and you're going to undervalue it and say, be like, the value of the 69,000 units is only 75,000. and now you gave away $15,000 across, how many SKUs that might be. So, you know, the point of this is eventually you're going to want to sell your business. And if this is in leading up to that sale, whether it's now or 6 months or 12 months or maybe it's 2, 3 years from now, each month, if you're as profitable as possible and you're showing as much value as possible, you're going to get that big payday at the end.
Yeah, pretty nice, man. Thank you for sharing, for educating us. Again, in the description, we're gonna have the pricing page of SellerVue, and we'll have the website for people to check to see what's up. We try to cover most of it in this call, but if there's any more questions left, please drop comments and ask, and or go and join the community and kind of sign up for a plan. Depends on what you feel like you need, and then kind of take it from there as well. But definitely comments are welcome always. Also, like if you are interested in what Mark shared, the 497 kind of access, that's on the growth plan, I believe, right? That's the plan that people will get. So it's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
on the middle plan, 497 per life. I think it's pretty generous because you kind of get the access to the platform, and then kind of in my opinion, for this kind of good value, spreading the word would be really nice. So sharing it around, or with your friends, other sellers and communities, that'll be cool. So that offer is also in the description. You can mention some coupon code or something like Vova or Vova Evan, or mention kind of that you came from this video, and then on the onboarding you will kind of get support, and the guys will take care of you. Thanks, Mark, for sharing this, and also sharing your mindset of kind of selling the business eventually. Because I've been in Amazon as a seller since 2016. I'm still selling under the same brand, and even though I enjoy the process and it's pretty cool, and still at some point I will most likely the business will be sold, or it will die. Or I will die. Like, so there's three options probably. I'm not. I'm turning 35 in a bit, so I wanna live longer. So probably I'll outlive my business. So then it's either kind of just keeping it and enjoying, kind of, but not always it is joyful. And even if it is, sometimes we want to go and do new things. So
Yeah.
then once the day comes to sell, then as you mentioned, for you, your first business was a little kind of it was not that easy, like in terms of like, because you had to bring all these things together, and then the buyer wanted to see them, and it's like, and from the friends of mine who sold their businesses, it's like a process. It takes over a month, I think, usually. It depends on how well it is. It might be even way faster. I know a friend who sold, I think he sold within a week, I think, because I think he was organized. One of the things I assume he was organized, because
Yeah.
otherwise that's quite fast.
Yeah. But yeah, just it depends. Yeah. I always like to tell my users, even the private clients, is that, if someone knocked on your door today with your dream check, could you sell tomorrow?
Interesting.
Like if someone knocked on your door and said, I'm going to give you $5 million and I want your business, but prove to me
Yeah.
it's worth the value. Yeah, could you do it? And like that's what my mentality is. Like I want to always be ready. Like if someone knocked on the door for Seller Vue tomorrow, I'd be like, geez,
Yeah.
I love this business, and what you've built is amazing. Yeah, here's the dream check. Could I do it? I could do it because like I've sold like four businesses, and I'm always ready to sell because I love building and selling. But it takes getting to that mentality, because especially when you sold your first business, you're like, ooh, yeah, like you get that like feeling. You're like, oh, I want to do that again.
Uh,
Um, so so yeah, I always like say just like be exit ready as much as you can, because you never know, someone's going to come going, oh, this is an amazing business, I want it, and you'll be ready.
yeah. Well, thanks again for your time and today. Also, big shout out to Christine for kind of connecting us. And yeah, she's
Yeah,
really a good friend, and I appreciate her. So Christine, if you're watching, thank you. And yeah, man, good luck to you. Keep going, and thank you for sharing your time with us, and wishing you the best. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
yeah. I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.